The future. That dazzling sci-fi dreamland we've been promised since forever. Hoverboards, jetpacks, robot butlers, and cars that drive themselves while you nap. Sounds epic, right? But wait, before you start packing for your weekend getaway to Mars, let's hit pause for a moment. Because the future? Yeah, it's not exactly living up to the hype. The future owes us some answers, don't you think? So guys, join us, because what comes next? Well, you're not gonna believe it. Artificial intelligence. So yeah, the future's favorite buzzword that was supposed to solve all our problems, from medical diagnoses to world hunger. So far, it's mostly just gotten really good at recommending Netflix shows we'll never watch and making questionable decisions in customer service chatbots. Sure, AI has made some strides, but it hasn't exactly lived up to the world-saving hype. Instead of curing diseases, AI seems more focused on figuring out which TV show we'll binge next, because clearly that's what humanity needed most. And when you think about it, there is a sad truth about it. Space tourism for billionaires only. The future envisioned space tourism as a casual weekend getaway for everyone. Fast forward to today, and unless you're a billionaire with cash to burn, you'll be lucky to touch the edge of space, let alone orbit it. Meanwhile, the rest of us are still stuck in economy class on Earthbound planes, fighting over armrests and wondering if the Wi-Fi will actually work this time. The final frontier is still very much out of reach for the average person, but hey, at least we can watch billionaires float around in zero gravity while we're grounded on Earth. Flying cars. Remember when we thought we'd have flying cars by 2020? Fast forward to 2024, and the closest we've come are drones delivering pizzas. Somewhere along the way, we got smart everything, except smart ways to actually get airborne during rush hour. Maybe in another decade, we'll finally crack the code on traffic jams. The Internet of Dysfunctional Things. In theory, everything in your house should communicate seamlessly, like a high-tech tea party where your fridge gossips with your coffee maker about the weather. In reality, it's more like a dysfunctional family reunion where your fridge argues with your thermostat, your smart speaker plays a podcast about cat grooming when you asked for the news, and your toaster refuses to cooperate with your light bulbs. Welcome to the future, where your appliances have more attitude than a teenager who just discovered sarcasm. Cashless society. The future promised us a cashless society, but what did we actually get? A million different payment apps, each demanding a password that's more complicated than a nuclear launch code. Meanwhile, we still can't tip our barista without digging around for actual physical coins. Apparently, we've reached the pinnacle of technological advancement, but when it comes to simplifying payments, we're still stuck in the past. 3D printing, the revolution that wasn't. 3D printing was supposed to revolutionize manufacturing, ushering in an era where we could print anything from car parts to custom homes. Instead, it's given us endless keychains, a pile of failed prototypes, and the occasional questionable art project that belongs in a museum of modern confusion. Come on. We were supposed to be printing the future, but it seems we're just printing more clutter for our already cluttered lives, right? Virtual reality, the next big thing? Already since the 1990s, we were promised immersive worlds and unparalleled experiences that would let us escape reality. What did we get? A bunch of people bumping into furniture and getting nauseous after 10 minutes of low-res gaming. VR was supposed to be the future of entertainment, but instead it's left us with headaches, disorientation, and a lingering sense of disappointment. If the future is all about pretending to be somewhere else while crashing into your coffee table, maybe reality isn't so bad after all. Social media. Social media in the future was supposed to connect us all, foster understanding, and create a global community of love and light. Instead, it's turned into a worldwide shouting match where everyone's yelling and no one's listening. Well guys, welcome to the future, where blocking someone is easier than solving an argument, and meaningful conversations have been replaced by memes, misinformation, and endless debates over whether pineapple belongs on pizza. Having said that, do a thumbs up if you think that pineapple belongs on pizza. Personal assistants, not so personal after all. Let's talk about those personal assistants that were supposed to manage our entire lives seamlessly. The future promised us digital helpers that would handle our schedules, to-do lists, and maybe even our grocery shopping. Today, they still struggle with basic commands like set a reminder for tomorrow, let alone managing complex tasks like order my usual from that place I like. Good luck getting your AI assistant to do anything more than misinterpret your instructions, because apparently, they've decided that remind me to call mom means play a random song from 2008. Genetic engineering, superhumans or super messy? Genetic engineering was supposed to make us all superhuman, with designer babies free from disease and packed with extra IQ points. Instead, it's mostly given us ethically questionable headlines, a lot of debates about playing God, and a renewed appreciation for not messing with nature's blueprint. The idea of tweaking our DNA to perfection sounded great, until it started raising more ethical questions than it answered. Maybe some things are better left to nature after all, because the future's version of genetic perfection seems to come with a side of moral dilemmas and unintended consequences. Renewable energy. Sure, renewable energy was supposed to be the solution to climate change, powering a greener future for all. Yet here we are, still debating whether wind turbines ruin the view, while fossil fuels keep the world turning. The future's renewable revolution feels more like a gentle breeze than the hurricane of change we needed. Sure, we've made some progress, but it's hard to get excited about solar panels when coal and oil are still the backbone of our energy supply. Maybe we need a little more wind in our sails to really turn the tide, or maybe just a good old-fashioned lightning bolt. Robots. Vacuuming floors, not running the world. Robots were supposed to take over the mundane tasks in our lives, freeing us up to pursue higher purposes and grand ambitions. So far, they've managed to vacuum our floors, flip the occasional burger, and serve as overly complicated coffee machines. Meanwhile, we're still stuck doing laundry, dishes, and all the other boring chores that robots were supposed to handle. We were promised a robot revolution, but all we got were glorified Roombas and a lot of unmet expectations. It's almost as if the robots decided they were too good for the grunt work and left us to deal with it ourselves. Self-driving cars, the future that's still stuck in beta. We're already talked about flying cars, but how about self-driving cars? This was supposed to be a thing by now, letting us nap on the way to work while our vehicles took care of the commute. But don't worry, the dream of autonomous vehicles is still out there. But for now, we're stuck with cars that panic at the sight of a traffic cone. Maybe in a few more decades, we'll finally be able to sleep through our morning commute. Until then, keep your eyes on the road and your hands on the wheel. Work from home. The concept of work from home was supposed to be the future's gift to work-life balance, freeing us from the confines of the office and giving us more flexibility. Instead, it turned out to be a dystopian experiment where work and life blend together into a never-ending cycle of Zoom calls, Slack messages, and the constant temptation to take a nap. The future of work was supposed to be flexible and freeing, but instead, it's more like being chained to your home office 24/7. Sure, you can work in your pajamas, but when home becomes the office, where do you go to relax? Education 2.0. The future promised us better education through technology, personalized learning, AI tutors, and virtual classrooms that would revolutionize the way we learn. What we got instead were kids who are experts at dodging questions in online classes, adults who've mastered the art of Googling answers, and a lot of screen fatigue. The dream of a tech-savvy education system has turned into a reality where students spend more time on social media than on their homework. So much for the next generation of geniuses. Turns out, the future's version of learning is just another excuse to postpone. Paperless office. Not. Remember when they said the future would be paperless, with all our documents and records stored digitally, freeing us from the clutter of paper? Tell that to the stack of receipts, printouts, and takeout menus that seem to multiply on every flat surface in your home. It's 2024, and the paperless office is about as real as Bigfoot. We've got digital everything, yet somehow the paperwork just keeps piling up. Maybe the future needs a shredder that actually works. Or maybe we should just admit that the paperless office was always a pipe dream and embrace our fate as paper hoarders. Cryptocurrency, the digital gold rush. Cryptocurrency was supposed to be the future of finance, freeing us from the tyranny of banks and governments and ushering in a new era of financial freedom. Instead, it's given us meme coins, market crashes, and the occasional headline about someone losing their life savings on a USB stick. The dream of decentralized finance has turned into a reality where people are more likely to invest in a joke coin than something with real value. So much for financial freedom. Turns out the future of money is just as volatile and unpredictable as the past, but with more hashtags. Living longer, but are we living better? The future promised us enhanced longevity, with medical breakthroughs pushing the boundaries of human lifespan and allowing us to live longer, healthier lives. But while we're living a bit longer, it's mostly just more years of doctor's visits, medication schedules, and dealing with the aches and pains of aging. At this rate, immortality doesn't sound all that appealing. Who wants to live forever if it just means more time spent in the waiting room? Or worse? We were supposed to be living longer and better, but instead, we're just living longer with more health problems. Maybe the future needs to focus on quality over quantity, because eternity with a bad back doesn't sound so great. Instant translation, still getting lost in translation. In the future, we were supposed to have instant translation devices that would break down language barriers, foster global understanding, and bring the world closer together. We do have those now. Kind of. They work, just not well enough to avoid international incidents or, at the very least, some very awkward misunderstandings. The dream of a world without language barriers is still out there, but for now, we're stuck with devices that are more likely to start a fight than to foster understanding. Maybe it's time to brush up on those language skills after all, because instant translation is more like instant confusion. AI-generated art. AI-generated art was supposed to be the future of creativity, with machines making masterpieces that would rival the works of human artists. What we got instead are algorithms churning out soulless images, plagiarized works, and a lot of questions about whether robots have any business in the art world. The dream of a future where machines create art has turned into a reality where we're more likely to see a copycat than a true masterpiece. So much for creativity. Turns out, art is still best left to humans, unless you're a fan of paintings that look like they were made by a particularly uninspired computer. Smart fridges, the judgmental appliances of the future. The smart fridge was going to be the crown jewel of the futuristic kitchen, keeping track of your groceries, suggesting recipes, and making your life easier. In reality, it's a very expensive way to keep milk cold, occasionally remind you it's out of stock, and silently judge your eating habits. Plus, the day it becomes sentient and refuses to open until you eat the leftovers will be a dark day indeed. The dream of a smart kitchen has turned into a reality where your fridge is more likely to shame you than to help you. So much for convenience. Global connectivity. More arguments, less understanding. The future was supposed to deliver us a more enlightened and tolerant society, thanks to global connectivity, instant access to information, and the ability to communicate with anyone, anywhere. Instead, we've got online comment sections where humanity's darkest thoughts are just a click away, and social media platforms that seem designed to encourage division rather than unity. If this is progress, maybe ignorance really was bliss. The dream of a connected world has turned into a reality where people are more likely to argue than to understand each other. So much for enlightenment and, hello, endless debates over the meaning of life, or at least the best pizza toppings. Tech upgrades, complicating life, one device at a time. The future's love affair with tech upgrades was supposed to make life easier, with gadgets that anticipated our needs and streamlined our daily routines. But with every upgrade, it feels like our devices become more convoluted, less user-friendly, and more prone to glitches that leave us questioning our life choices. Remember when a phone was just a phone? Yeah, neither does the future. Now it's a camera, a GPS, a personal assistant, and a source of endless frustration. The dream of a tech-savvy world has turned into a reality where we're more likely to be annoyed by our devices than helped by them. Curing diseases, still waiting for the miracle cure. The future talked a big game about curing all diseases through advanced medicine, gene therapy, and groundbreaking research that would eliminate illness once and for all. We've made progress, sure, but there's still a long way to go. Meanwhile, the common cold remains undefeated. Cancer is still a major challenge. And where are those teleportation devices that should get us to the doctor? The dream of a world without disease has turned into a reality where we're still battling the same old problems, just with fancier tools. So much for the future of medicine. Turns out there's no quick fix after all, and we're still waiting for that miracle cure. Or at least a teleportation device that works. And there you have it, folks, the future, full of unfulfilled promises and half-baked technologies. But hey, maybe next year they will finally bring us those hoverboards. If they do, would you like to have one? Let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe, blah blah blah. Thanks for watching.